some fucking comment. Okay, here we are, okay? We're here, we're open for business, me and Elder Drazi. We're here to talk about transgenderism.
I have no visual on you, by the way.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
And then I accidentally turned mine off right afterwards.
There you go.
Cool. There we are.
What's up? All right.
So
you approached me. You actually wanted to be while I was streaming last time, I was talking about if I'm transphobic, and you had sent me a message saying that there's something you wanted to say about it, and I missed it. But afterwards, I said, "Well, we'll talk about it another time." So here we are.
Yeah, I was getting kind of upset with the person who you were talking to. So I was already like kind of energized, and then you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think by the end of it, they said that they didn't think that you were transphobic. Is that correct?
Well, Knack.
Or did they more or less say? Yeah, Knack.
Knack. She said that I might be like a different word, but that my opinions are like anti-trans.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, I don't agree that my opinions are anti-trans.
I think that's it's such a crazy thing to talk about, because I think that most of the time that I hear somebody being called transphobic, or in this case anti-trans, all that it really means is that you don't agree with the trans people that I know. That's all that they're really saying, unless, like, don't get me wrong, there's some people out there that are like blatantly transphobic. They say things like just I don't know, just hateful, bigoted shit. That's like there's no like that they wouldn't even deny. But there's such a far cry from that, and the things that I hear most people getting called transphobic for, and it's kind of crazy. What I wanted to ask you when I came on there is, do you think that there's some amount of transphobia that everybody has who isn't trans, and maybe some people that even are, that like you just can't separate yourself from, in the way that I think that some people have a really small amount of racism who mean no harm to anybody.
Okay, I
like
got
systemic transphobia.
I gotcha, but I cannot answer that question because I don't know what the fuck you mean. Okay, so what is transphobia for you?
If I were to say somebody's transphobic, I would say it in the way that I think most people would have said it 5 years ago. Is that somebody is like on purpose bigoted. It has nothing to do with like I think that you would have to
It doesn't need to be
or
on
strongly
purpose.
I think you would need to hate or dislike trans people for being trans. I would say that that's what transphobia is. They can't hear you. Let me see.
Looks like it works on my end. Tell me if you need me to test.
Okay, it works now. Sorry, thank you for saying something to me. My headset has two different settings, and for whatever reason, it'll switch which things want to take.
All right.
Is that your opinion of transphobia as well?
So I believe that when I say transphobia, and I absolutely do see transphobia, like plenty, it's people that hate trans people, and there are disagreements that you can have. So I honestly, I'll try to stay. I'll try to fucking stay on task. Okay, I'm so fucking chaotic. Yeah, I think that there are a lot of transphobic people. There are people that hate trans people, are afraid of them. Like they might get like the ick from trans people, and they're like, I need, like, whatever you're doing is wrong because it makes me uncomfortable. And those are transphobic people.
Yeah.
Or they think that trans people are doing something like
bad by virtue of being trans.
Yeah, they're doing something immoral. I believe, which is I believe something. If you swap some of those words, I believe something immoral is being done to trans people. I don't think they're doing anything immoral.
I agree. Oh, Doggy Style, thank you very much for the donation on YouTube. You're my first YouTube donor. Appreciate you. I think that. So wait, before I say something about that, because I might go off on it.
Yeah.
So when I said, like, do you think that there's a thing like systemic transphobia? What I would mean is that there's something baked into our society as seeing trans people as different, that we are inevitably going to treat them differently, no matter what, to some degree, because there is sort of like a built-in otherness to being trans, as far as our society is concerned. It's like the reason why we have to have so many conversations about it. It's similar to like systemic racism, that while you may not hate black people, you might do certain things that put black people out in some way without even realizing it.
You know what? You know what's funny? This question is really unusual or weird to answer, because I think that if there is systemic injustice or systemic oppression of trans people, I believe that it is by transgenderism or trans ideology itself.
I actually think that some of the most quote unquote liberal ideas about transgenderism is at the very least the spark of the most harm that's coming to them.
Yeah. I know a lot of trans people, I've seen on Twitter, okay? I don't know.
Sure.
I've seen on Twitter, plenty of trans people on Twitter that'll say stuff like I'll see a trans woman saying that if she like men are like supposed to be workers ants, like, and women are supposed to be like creative and doing stuff at home and everything. And that's what led me to that's part of what led me to wanting to be trans, because I was like, I don't fit, there's something wrong with me. And I a lot of, I keep saying a lot of, there are trans people that let it really lean on gender stereotypes that are harmful to men and women. And I believe that, I'm not saying that those trans people are hurting men and women. I think that the gender stereotypes that hurt men and women are affecting those trans people just in the opposite way. Like, if you are trans, you, like, a trans woman is affected by all of the shit that women have to deal with, like from advertisements about beauty standards, like the thing, like having to shave your legs, like, and they think that that's what's going to make them who they are, just like a woman thinks that she has to shave her legs to be her, like. And it's the same. I've been there. It's more work if you're a trans woman or like a femboy or whatever, which really sucks, but it comes from the same place. For me, it came from like Instagram and shit. When
Sure.
As soon as I started using Instagram and seeing all these pretty women, I was like, holy shit, like, why am I not that?
I think that makes a lot of sense. When I was a kid, really young, I used to have really long hair, and I got bullied for it by people in my family. And say I have girls' hair, and then probably to some degree in school. I think I have some vague memories of that. And I just rejected it a lot, and I cut my hair just because I wanted people to stop making fun of me. I was like 6, so I got my hair cut just because, like, I didn't care about like why they were making fun of me, as far as like they're like calling me like a girl or whatever. I was just like, if I just lose the hair, then they'll stop fucking picking on me. But then when I was like old enough to have a say in my hair again, because like it mattered then for the reason, I guess, but until I was a teenager, I didn't get to have a say. It's just like, you're just going to do whatever we want. I wanted to grow my hair back out again because it didn't make any sense to me. I didn't care if somebody had that opinion anymore. But I grew up with like the older people in my family always try to really reinforce gender norms. I think when I was 12, around 12, I asked for an easy bake oven because I wanted to be able to make snacks. And I definitely got comments like that's a girl thing. And it just blew my fucking mind that like, I just remember thinking like, it seems like you guys are old enough to understand that doesn't make any sense. Like I just couldn't wrap my head around it for the life of me. And I never, like as far as back as I can remember being able to make my own decisions, I never let that play any part of my decision making and what I did. Like when I was like 14, I made some of my trip pants into a skirt and I wore that to school. And even the teachers had a problem with it. I was like, this is so bonkers to me. It just always felt like everybody was playing a game and I just didn't understand like why they were into it. I feel like that's how people feel when they walk into a card shop and see me playing Magic. They're like, I don't get the appeal here.
Right. I think that you, in that case, I got some lexicon that helps with some of these conversations lately. I really appreciate this verbiage. But I think that you very early on and abnormally became self-differentiated very early. Like, so what that means is you like, so if you are not self-differentiated, which is it happens in your family and stuff, your family will tell you have long hair and you become ashamed and you're like, oh, well, I should have short hair because you know, you guys are saying that it's wrong and it feels wrong for me because you guys said it's wrong. So it feels, whatever you say about me is how I feel about myself because you're not differentiated. And the other way that can play out is you can also be like fascistically aggressive with telling other people what to do. Because you're still not differentiated, but it's not that you want to get your ideas about yourself from other people. You want to force other people to be like you. So in both cases, you are not differentiating yourself. You're not able to hold yourself and your own feelings and thoughts as separate from other people's feelings and thoughts. And that's a really challenging thing for a lot of people. And I think that, and the opposite of being differentiated is being enmeshed. And I think that people are encouraged to be culturally enmeshed with a lot of shit, especially with social media, especially with like it started with, it started forever. I mean, just human nature, but a big part of this started with advertisements and beauty, makeup, clothing, that kind of thing. And, you know, they want you to feel bad for not wearing the makeup, bad for not buying the shoes, bad for not buying a Game Boy. What Nintendo, like Sega can do what Nintendo don't or whatever, you know, like you're a loser. Are you a baby? Well, why don't you buy this? Because you're a baby if you don't. And the advertisers and social media and everyone posting on social media wants you to feel enmeshed with them because they want you to, like usually they want you to buy whatever they're selling. So I believe that we have a problem with cultural enmeshment with these gender standards.
Yeah, big time. And I think I went through a good part of my life not thinking it was that bad. And I kind of woke up more to it when for a long time before I had my kid full time, I would just get my kid every other weekend because that's what the courts give. That's what a lot of dads get. And I remember my kid saying something to the effect of like, well, that's for boys. And I was like, no, it's not for boys, or that's a girl thing. And I'm like, no, it's not. There's no such. And I remember one time, girl showed me stopped. Said, there is no such thing as girls' clothes and boys' clothes. They're just clothes. And I was like, why do you think that? And that's what my mom says.
Just for the record, the shoulder, like, because I wear a lot of women's clothes. Like, I own a lot because they have way better styles. Like, all men's clothes are so cookie cutter. And I end up having a lot of women's clothes. Shoulders, like, once I started working out, like, shoulders, like, not ripping a woman's shirt or blouse when taking it off becomes more of a tedious thing. And I could always wear the same size pants as my girlfriends because they'll have like the oh, actually no, that's actually not the case. But say I'm dating someone that's like slightly bigger than me. Yeah. Then the waist size, I don't even remember, like the waist size is like women just have bigger hips. So like she might like seem smaller, but like, oh yeah, if a woman seems smaller, so a woman will seem smaller, but her hips are actually the same size as you. So the clothes are different size wise. That's all I want to say. Let's continue.
Sure. And I'm sure that there's some like nitty gritty you can get down to with the intent. But my whole thing that I wanted to impress upon my kid is that there's nothing magical about the fabric or the styles that preclude one gender or the other from wearing them. And I was so mad that my kid's mom was like beating my kid over the head with this. Like, it just felt like, even though it's the norm, it just felt like brainwashing to me. It's like, why would you try to make my kid think this when like there's nothing good can come of this?
Yeah.
It seems like you're only going to limit the things that my child thinks that they're going to be capable of doing, or at the very least, what they're going to be accepted for doing. And I think that's when I started thinking about it more and more. And then last year, my kid told me that they were trans, and I just was kind of like, that's cool. It's not a big deal. Just so you know, I don't think of you any different. It's chill. And I knew that his mom had a really bad reaction because I guess very gendered way of thinking, or very traditional way of thinking about gender, rather. And I think it's really, really weird. It seems like everybody has some really visceral and strong way they want to talk about this, and it's never honest. Like nobody, even the people that are like, I think even transphobic people, I think that the stuff that they say mostly isn't honest because they don't want to cede any ground. And I think on the other end of the spectrum, we have people that are so caught up in making sure that they don't seem transphobic and that everybody who they actually do support knows that they're supporting them, that they can't say anything that might come off as even slightly offensive to like the most offendable person. And I think that we're only hurting trans people when we do this.
Yeah. They're just adrift in our fucking bullshit.
Yeah. So, and I'm not completely immune to it. It's kind of scary to say like what you actually think sometimes because if people do get upset or offended, and oftentimes not even trans people, you'll just get cis people that are offended on their behalf, and just want like wish bad things to happen to you or try to make bad things happen to you for saying it. But I think that there's some good value in me just kind of saying what I think is actually happening and people don't want to talk about.
There's also an issue of an internal dilemma between your ideals and your feelings that I think happens a lot in these types of conversations, because even though we have certain ideals, we still so like in this case, like everybody is a little transphobic because we all kind of have some enmeshment with the culture. So something that I was thinking about a second ago regarding like when you said your kid in the clothing, I am all for like wearing whatever clothes look. I like I said, I own a lot of women's clothes and I wear them, but so what I would tell my kid in that situation is I would say, well, whatever looks good, right? So like who cares what the assigned like the letter on the number on the back, if it says an F or an M, does it look good on you or not? And I'm so progressive, or I'm so woke, except I know though in the back of my head what I think looks good is informed by the culture and the expectations. So, like, I don't think that I look so good in dresses because I don't have a woman's body. Like, I will, like, I can try to pull off a dress in a certain way. It would have to be like a certain length to make my legs look a certain way. But I know that it's like, it's trying to make me look more like a woman, or maybe clash some, maybe certain types of clashing. You know what I mean when I say that? Like clashing masculine and feminine expectation types of things.
Sure.
Like,
kind of makes it stand out.
Yeah. Or like a kilt.
Oh,
to
sure.
To an American, that's kind of like a clashing in your head. But like the most extreme example would be like a drag queen with a beard. It's like, okay, well, like what are you trying to be, a woman or a man? Like it's clashing, but they're doing that on purpose. And yeah, I just know that what I think looks good isn't pure, and I know that, so it's a conflict. So I'm afraid to say, well, whatever looks good, because that's a lie. Because what I think looks good isn't pure. It's not separated from my expectations entirely.
That's tough for me because big surprise, I have very little understanding. I think I have like a really strong internal rejection of our ideas about fashion anyways, because I really just think that somebody acted like they knew what they were talking about a long time ago, and they made up a bunch of rules, and people liked them or respected them, so they rolled with it. And people who have done the same thing just been kind of tweaking it, and we've been rolling along ever since. It's the only way I can make any sense of this. I tried to do some like research on it, and I have like, if I'm going out, I can dress myself a little bit better now. But it's just sort of me saying like, okay, I guess I'll just follow these rules that I read online.
Mm-hmm.
I just really have a hard time grasping these rules of aesthetics because there's nothing like tangible or like mechanical for me to grasp onto, and it's just so abstract and unintuitive to me that I just think that the way I approach things is just unfit for this category.
Ironically, I think it's actually supposed to be intuitive. Like, it's an intuitive, because it's like being creative, being artistic or whatever is like more intuitive thinking than it is structured, disciplined thinking often. So,
interesting. I'm doomed.
Yeah.
I remember I matched one time by mistake, and my buddy pointed out, he goes, "Oh my God, your clothes are matching." I was like, "Oh, I guess they are." He goes, "You didn't do that on purpose, did you?" I said, "No, I had no idea."
Well, no, he isn't. You're not supposed to match. Anyway, so something I held off saying a little bit ago to get like really back on track, because we're like, drifting into fashion. I think that when we say transgenderism, that word seems heavy because I think it is the poignant word to identify a movement. Like, it's not just like gender dysphoria and like science. It's like a movement, and like it's like a religious movement. That's what I think.
I can say, as somebody who grew up, I constantly challenged religious people all the time. And I had some pretty severe consequences from doing it in the wrong spaces. Definitely had some issues with different schools that I was in because I wasn't Christian, and I wasn't like quiet about it. Or quiet about expressing my other religious ideas that I had at various points in my life. And it does seem like there's a similar type of pushback.
It's even worse because
like the asking is wrong.
The asking what?
Like if I ask questions, when I'm asking questions about religion, if there's a detection that I don't already agree with you,
yes,
I might be a problem. So they'll proceed, but there's a cautious and not defensive, like offensive way of proceeding. There's an aggression that's very very different
and like the
than
most
any other kind of conversation I'd have with somebody.
People will see like a compassionate, like, so if someone on the other side of that might see a compassionate way to address you as trying to be as convincing as possible, because we need to make sure that you believe the right thing or else you're like wrong and evil. But it's worse than just a religion, because you can at least admit and say that a religion is a religion. This one is, you can't say that it is. You can't refer to gender ideology, because then people are like, what are you talking about? You're one of those. You're one of them. You're like, no, like it is, and it is not. It is an ideology with certain values and goals, and they value transitioning people, and they value gender very highly, and they value it's impossible for them to get rid of gender, because transitioning is entirely dependent on gender being real, which it isn't real.
I don't think it is either. So I don't know if I've ever had this conversation with you, but I just say I'm non-binary. It seems like a lot of other non-binary people don't have the same thoughts as I do. But basically, for me, it's like, don't put any of your gender shit on me at all. Like, it's fine if you want to perform and experience gender, but I don't. I just don't think it makes any sense to how I approach anything. And it makes me really uncomfortable to have any of my actions or like my motivations put into this box. I understand some things are going to be dictated by my sex.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
It is real because other people make it real, but it's not and it's not an empirical or scientific fact. It's just a cultural real. It's real like Christianity is real. Gender is just as real as Christianity is real. They are both the same type of a noun. They represent an idea.
Yeah.
It's not real like my hand is real.
Sure. I think I agree with that. The weird thing is that sometimes when I say that I'm non-binary and I explain it, some people, cis and trans, will think that I'm trying to say that I identify as trans. And I just always think like, no, I didn't transition from anything. I think that I never had a gender. I think that like gender was never a thing that I really participated in. The closest thing to it was me not wanting to get my hair cut. So like, I don't have any interest in like looking more effeminate or looking more masculine. I don't care. I just am who I am.
I don't believe you.
What do you mean?
It's just that's too perfect. I that sounds. I think it's. I mean, you might be right, but it can't. It sounds impossible.
So I'll say this: I never realized that the way that I lived my life and thought about gender was as weird as it is until recently. Because I really thought when I was a kid and didn't really have any like frame of reference, really thought that it was the best I could compare it to was like a game that people played and they were just like into it. But I guess I always butted heads with all the adults in my life anyways. Like I would always argue with people and they'd say things that didn't make any sense. But I was like a really, really logical kid and people want to treat kids like they're morons all the time and just say stuff. So I was always arguing with adults anyways. And it just seemed like another one of these things that they would say that like they couldn't back it up when like a 10-year-old challenged them.
Okay, I still believe you. Okay,
it's fine.
No, I want to go into this. Okay.
Okay.
So race, like, so you know you're Asian, okay, and for a moment, and you can say that race isn't real, and that's pretty much true. It's not real in any way that we consider it real, but it's just people look different, and just like people that are different sexes look different, and everybody sees that you're Asian, and everybody treats you like you're Asian, and even though that really doesn't mean much or shouldn't, it might mean like they're all of their expectations based on statistics and all of their previous experiences with Asian people are now like they that is all brought to the table when they look at you. So when people look at you and you don't look feminine, you look like a man. So I assume people, when they look at you and when the way they treat you is like a man. So I don't believe you that you don't feel it, because everybody else is treating you that way all the time. It's inevitable.
Oh, I mean internally. Like, I don't feel like I have like a man's experience. Like, I cry pretty often. When I don't cry, it's just because I don't want people to engage with me about my feelings. When I resist it, I have no problem. Like, I have, I guess the silliest example I can think of is like when I watch like Nurse Jackie. I it's like a fairly feminine show, and I get I think that I have like a lot more femininity when I'm watching it. I think I just experience masculinity and femininity both regularly, and I just think that most people do, and they just suppress the one that they don't want.
Sure. I can relate to not having much. Yeah, I don't ever think I ever really had a real internal sense of gender. And I honestly, I don't think that that's real for anyone. I don't believe that that's real for anyone. I think that that's bullshit. I don't think there is such thing as an internal sense of gender. I think that we have the way other people treat us impacts how we feel about ourselves. And that is what I think gender. I don't think it's like, I don't think you have some magical gender part of your brain. I think that you have, everybody's telling you, like, Elder Drazi, open the pickle jar for me. You're a man. You got knuckle tattoos. You're a man. You know, so, you know, like.
Sure. I think whenever something like that happens to me, it always feels like I'm playing a part, and sometimes it's fun because it feels a little bit silly to me whenever I hear something like that. But other times it's not. I think it has to do with the level of trust that I have with the person, and like I don't give a shit about pronouns. I have a really feminine voice, so people call me she on the phone. I don't really care to correct them. I just usually, like, I look like a guy, so I don't mind that people treat me like a guy for the most, up until they have like, they're starting to put expectations or like trying to limit what I can or can't do. Then It's just like, this is so weird to me.
For some people, it really bothers them.
Yeah, I know. And I think that I'm pretty empathetic to people like that too. I had a coworker who always, when people would refer to them, they would say she to me. And he's just a regular cis guy, and it really bothers him. Because I had to ask one time, I was like, dude, does it bother you? Like, when people come in and ask, like, well, I spoke to the woman on the phone, or I talked to the young lady that worked here last time I was here. And I was like, oh, I know who you mean. And then I just say his name, and it's like a very obviously guy name. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, you don't have to apologize to me, but like, you know, maybe if you see him. So like, I'm empathetic towards like that he really doesn't like that.
He doesn't like people calling him a man?
No, they don't like people calling him a woman, because they assume that he's a woman a lot, which I don't see, but it seems like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And that's probably just because I know him. If I didn't know him, maybe I'd see what other people saw a little bit better.
I've only felt uncomfortable being misgendered because, okay, actually, there's a couple ways I felt uncomfortable being misgendered. I can remember I used to have very long hair. It wasn't really that great of a look for me. Like, looking back at my old photos, once I cut it and a little bit shorter, it was a massive glow up. Anyway, like sometimes, like from behind, someone might like refer to me as a she, and when I was like in high school age, sometimes that like excited me, like sexually. But most of the time, it was like it made me afraid. Because like in high school, we're more like chimpanzees, and the social dynamics are more like chimpanzees. It's like, who's making eye contact with me? If you're making eye contact with me, I need to fucking punch you in the face because I need power. You know, like it's such like little fucking pieces of shit. And someone like calling you a she, are they doing it on purpose? Are they trying to belittle me because being a woman's bad, or is it a mistake? And are they going to be embarrassed and then take it out on me? Or but it always has to do with other people. It wasn't like I cared.
Yeah, it bothers me when somebody if somebody does that with the intention of like making me feel bad. I get upset because they're trying to make me feel bad. Like that they're trying to make me feel inferior. That's the thing that bothers me.
I actually don't. Well, I may have when I was a teenager. I don't have a memory of this, but I have a memory of this happening to me like a year ago at a burrito place, and the Hispanic guy that's didn't even speak good English. He's from a different culture, but he misgendered me, and I had to like, this wasn't even femboy Smith. It was just like just me, and I think I was wearing this hat. It's like, this is a woman's hat. It says hustle and pray. And it's kind of like pink. And it might have had like a pink shirt or something. And he called me a she, and and he had like this little shit eating like grin, and I was like, I didn't care one bit, because like you're making my burrito. I don't care. I mean, I feel confident about how I look. I feel like you look like an ass. I don't really get like, you just look dumb. It doesn't really bother me. And I know he did it on purpose. I think it might bother me more if I was more insecure. And I think that a lot of trans people don't have a lot of acceptance in their lives, especially growing up. I mean, There's a lot of ways to develop dysphoria, but I think that if people don't accept you for who you are, and you are so enmeshed and so fixated on what other people think of you, and you hate who you are, and you're not good enough for anybody, well, what's the way to escape that? Is to be someone else. And every single ad that we see, if you have an Instagram account, you see all these beautiful women that look so happy and glamorous, and everything's perfect for them in their magical fake Instagram world. And every ad on TV, girl power, everything's great. And yeah, and then for women, young girls, there's another horror of being treated like once you start growing breasts and hips, and you start getting treated different, and that's its own horror, and you're not going to want to be part of that. And in the same way, if you don't feel accepted, you want to escape that, and it's so much more appealing to be a man.
Yeah, I think that definitely has to do with it, a lot to do with it for a lot of people. One of the things that really opened my eyes to like what's really happening here is I seen, he's actually in the chat, Will in his channel was arguing with somebody, and he said less than 1% of trans people have gender dysphoria, and the response to it was one of the best GIFs that I've ever seen. It was like an anime GIF, and somebody said source, and this big power blast said, "I just fucking made it up." And I laughed really hard. And I was like, "There's no way this can be true." And I looked it up, and it happens to be that almost every single trans person doesn't have gender dysphoria.
What does that mean?
It means that there's two different things happening.
How do they measure that?
I would have to assume that it has a lot to do with self-reporting, some kind of investigations, because I looked it up, and I didn't see. So like, if I look something up and like the thing seems sketchy, I'm gonna call the person on and be like, all right, well, this doesn't seem right.
Well, it seems like the type of study that, say you're doing a study and that becomes your conclusion, you're in your abstract, then everybody involved, all the trans people involved in your study are going to be really pissed at you, and they're going to tweet about it, which happens. And then some of those studies get removed. But that being said, I don't like relying on the self-reporting in the way that we interpret it for saying, for instance, saying that trans people are happy when they transition because they said they are. And I also,
well, if you don't have gender dysphoria, I imagine maybe
I'm
you
also, because I'm not looking at the study, I don't know how it was conducted and stuff. I'm skeptical. If that really is, if that's interpreted because people said that, it doesn't sound like something trans people would say.
Will said it's from the 2 most recent surveys surveying trans people. So even if the survey was done poorly, and like the number is so huge that like it can't be like even if we say that the number was actually 10 times as much, we would still be like the overwhelming vast majority. We'd still be in that camp.
Will, do you happen to know if the questions were like, because I would assume this is the case, that the questions were like, like questions asking trans people how they feel about gender, and then like through like 50 questions or whatever, it compiles to say like all that equates to you not having gender dysphoria, like, or is it just them asking trans people, do you have gender dysphoria, or something like that, and then what is their metric for non-gender dysphoria? Because then the trans person could argue that what they are defining as gender dysphoria does not work. So whatever questions they have that lead to us believing they don't have gender dysphoria is inaccurate, because it actually should be.
You said the second one you said.
They just asked trans people if they have dysphoria?
Yeah.
Wow. And they said no.
Yeah. So what I think is, even if the number's like a lot off, we're still dealing with like a massive, it means that most people that are trans don't experience any dysphoria. And it drives me insane that we're grouping 2 different phenomena into the same category with like almost no distinction ever in our rhetoric. And I think it's really, really important, because if you don't have gender dysphoria and you just want to socially transition and you want to do the things that you want to do, that's awesome. I don't think that you need as much of a leg up. I don't think you need as much help and consideration as the people that are experiencing gender dysphoria is. And I think that we're throwing them under the bus by grouping them in with the same category of people.
Yeah, well, when I think of someone who's trans, some transgenderism, I think of, to be trans, you are somebody who has gender dysphoria, because gender dysphoria is the mental disorder that makes you want to change your body. So if you don't have the mental disorder, you just want to change your body. That, like, I mean, I want to be buff or whatever. I mean, I'm fine with how I am, but I want to lose 15 pounds. That's not so extreme, but like, maybe
so 5. You see the problem, and I think both things are happening for sure, but the implications of the one thing and the implications of the other thing are vastly different. I think how much time, money, and energy we're putting towards one and the other is different, because these are very different things. And from the people that I have known, I've known people that have no gender dysphoria and identify as trans, and people that do. And it seems to me that people that have gender dysphoria care way, way more about their own personal perception of themselves to a huge degree. And the people that don't have gender dysphoria are more concerned with other people's perceptions of them.
Well, I think, like I already said, I think that there is no real. I think to have gender dysphoria, you have to actually believe gender is real.
Yeah, I would say gender dysphoria seems to be that you have a mental disorder which gives you great distress that you are the sex that you are, that you're not the other sex.
Okay. But yeah, okay. So that would be different then. So this question I'm googling it. I can't find it, but so because for the audience and for myself, I want to be sure, but if it is, it could be that like wanting to change your sex and wanting to change your gender are two different things.
But I think you can only change your gender. You can't change your sex.
Sure, but gender isn't real. But so this is my theory of gender. I've thought pretty hard about this. I haven't said it in a while, but I believe that gender refers to secondary sex characteristics or even third place sex characteristics. So secondary sex characteristics meaning like hips, like meaning your voice, your pitch of your voice, breasts or whatever. These are indicators at what sex you are. So gender refers to those, and also the third separation of sex characteristics, which is the role that your sex has in society. So so people who are female in some societies might like pink, and that would be like further withdrawn from being a secondary sex characteristic, but it's an indicator within that culture of what sex you are. So I believe that gender refers to the indicators of what sex you are, because we can't actually scan you and determine like what your DNA is. Technically there are intersex people, and like maybe like some intersex. I mean, it's rare. Like I hate the scapegoating of the intersex in these conversations, but just to go there, like even if someone has like a penis and balls, like they might have like some weird set of chromosomes or whatever, so they're not like technically male or female exactly. I would define it by how your sexual functionality. So if you can impregnate somebody with your cum, then you're a male. And if you have eggs and you can become, so, and regardless, I believe that gender's indicator of your sex. That's the only reasonable indicator that we have. And so when you want to change your gender, you want to indicate that you are the other sex.
Yeah.
And some transgender people don't want to indicate that they don't, it's very weird. It's very weird. I'm not right when I say that they don't want to indicate that they are the other sex. They want to adopt some gender indicators of sex, but they don't want to adopt all of them. Like some transgender people don't want to take hormones or anything, but they want to like, and this is less common, but they'll like wear dresses and like change their hair and makeup, but they want to change their body at all. I get the impression that those people just want to be different from other people.
I don't think I have a strong opinion on that.
Either they want to be different from other people or they want to be different from themselves.
Yeah, that's probably that's probably where I would land. I think part of this all is really strange to me, because I think I must have been like 12 when my mother explained to me what transgenderism was, and I was just like, yeah, okay. So she just explained. She just said like something to the effect of, "There's some people that are." She said there's some people that are born to the wrong body, and I just understood what she meant uh, by it. And she said, "Then you just treat them the way they want to be treated." And I still think that even if you take the most extreme meme, if somebody says I'm an attack helicopter, like I think that if it's really important to them, and you can tell it's important to them, and you don't just say it, I think you're probably being a dick. Although I would think first off, this person probably has some kind of neuroatypicality going on, and I'm not going to make it any worse by fighting with them about this. This is something that is not something I would generally hear. So if somebody says that to me and they have the confidence to tell this to me, I'm probably just going to go along with it. And if it really bothers me, I'm just not going to engage with them. But I'm not going to disengage rudely.
Right.
And some people have such a fucking hard time with that. It's like, I don't want to do it. And I also think that people shouldn't ask me to. Like, that's where you're crossing the line for me. People can ask you whatever they want. You have the right to say no and fuck off.
Yeah, the difference is some people really want to change like the definition of woman to include them, or definition of man to include them, and they want to they don't want you to just treat them the way they want to be treated. They want to change everything so that they are what they want to be treated like.
Yeah,
and
it makes me
I would
curious
say,
as to what their goal is, really.
well, I think that they were not born in the wrong body. I think that they were born in the wrong society. They were born in the wrong timeline or whatever. Because, like, I don't think you're born to hate yourself or have any type of identity at all. You're just born a blank slate. You're not born thinking, I'm a man. You know, you're born like goo goo gaga, and then your mommy says you're a man or whatever.
Right. I think so. This is probably one of the things that I'm gonna say that might make some people upset, even though I don't think it should. I think that when we started just saying like trans women are women is when I think that whole like the movement of pushing that hurt trans people way more than it helped them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the best way that I can explain why some people non-maliciously have an issue with this is that let's say I knew you, like I know, just like I know you right now, and a year from now you transition, and who cares what the name is? You can pick your new name, and when I see you, my brain is always going to go first. That's Smeth. Smeth isn't a guy anymore. We call Smeth this now. My brain, people act like when someone transitions that their brain is immediately going to recognize the person that they knew as female that they always were, and that this has always been their name. That's how they act, though.
But I don't think it's reasonable to ask you to change your brain's interpretation of them, and like no, like because they aren't female, and for them to expect you to now perceive you as female, like even if it takes you time, like what am I supposed like? It's like it reminds me of the episode of Star Trek where Picard is being tortured and gaslit, and the captor is saying, how many lights are there? I forget how many the number is, but there are like 3 lights. And the guy says there's 4. And when Picard says there's 3 lights, he's like, wrong, zaps him. And there are 4 lights. How many lights are there? And Picard just abstinently says there are 3 lights. And it's like they're forcing you to say like you want me to like to just confuse me and like fuck up my brain. You're not actually that. Like I'll treat you the way you want to be treated, but you can't make me like change my like ability to engage with reality, you know?
Sure. I agree. This is I think that people have an issue with this non-maliciously because there are some logistical problems that trans people and people in the transgender movement say that people can't accept because it requires them to deny something which they hold to be true. And this is a far cry from whether or not you're going to be like have good etiquette around them. The problem isn't saying like I would prefer it if you called me this now, if you could refer to me as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I think, this should always be on the table for anybody who wishes to engage with people politely. If you're not going to do that, then you need to understand that you are being aggressive towards somebody. You're hurting them knowing that you're hurting them, and it's shitty. However, there's a difference between that and saying, I need you to tell me that you know that I am.
It's like a religion, okay? Because it's like if you're talking, this is, we all understand that this is unacceptable when, and it pisses us off rightfully when somebody comes up to you with a Bible or whatever, and they're like, like they're trying to like convince you that, I don't know, like what's something.
Convert?
Yeah, but they like basically because they're like in order to make the trans person happy, you literally have to convert your actual thinking to their thinking, and their thinking is based on either dysphoria or just a desire, but it's not based on any empirical reality. So, it's like they're telling you that you have to believe that Jesus Christ died for your sins, and if you don't believe that, then there's something wrong with you. And it's like, well, what? Like, you're a blasphemy. You're evil. It functions exactly like a religion in that way.
Yeah, I think that there's bullies on both sides. I think there's a big difference when somebody's trying to talk to you about religion. You're going like, well, like I don't believe in that. I'm atheist, I'm agnostic, I'm this other religion. And the difference between that and going like, well, Jesus isn't real, right? Is tremendous. So like when I was younger, I used to just argue with people. I would get a kick out of pissing off religious people by pointing out like some of the glaring fallacies with their belief system. And as I got older, I realized like I'm kind of being the asshole here.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Wait. I'm not saying but pointing out the things that you disagree, like the thing, like you're wrong about this, you're wrong about this. Like that. It's a dick to you're a dick to go up to like a religious person and I mean, you can be a dick, but you're being aggressive and you're aggressing upon them to tell them that they're wrong. But
yes.
But what I'm saying is that they are offended. Like it's in the world that we live in like the first world countries, modern society, we see it as unacceptable and offensive for a religious person to go up to you and tell you that you have to think that Jesus Christ died for your sins, and if you don't think that, be like that you should be ostracized as if there's something wrong with you. No, like there's nothing wrong with me for not agreeing with you. Like I don't have to believe in your religion to respect you. I don't have to. It's so that's how it would have functioned. Like that's how it functions in a religious extremist country or like back in the day. And that's
I wasn't saying you did this or were suggesting this either. I think I was just more or less trying to put what you're saying into my words. I was trying to like steel man what you're saying.
Well, yeah, but it's what you're saying is different because you don't have to argue with trans people. Like it might even be like mean or like cruel to argue with them. But if you don't agree with them, then for them to now argue with you as if you're wrong is also egregious.
That's what I mean. There's bullies on both sides of this issue.
Right. Okay,
I think that somebody who isn't maliciously misgendering people, isn't trying to harm anybody, but is getting like dogpiled on people just for not sharing the same belief about transgenderism. I think this is bad too, and I think that it's not just bad for the person that it's happening to, but it's bad for trans people. Like the amount of bad actors in this conversation on both sides is hurting their own cause so much. It's unreal.
What is their
Like,
cause?
I would say that the people who have strong disagreements with transgenderism, I think that their cause would be to, I guess, I don't know, on the more extreme end of it.
What is the cause of the trans people?
So I guess I'm speaking from the people that I would call rational on both sides here. I haven't given much thought to the extremes of it because I can't honestly know what the goals might be there.
I think the
it's
cause
a bit out of my
is
reach.
I think the cause behind the trans movement is gender as like an ideology and like a religious belief that there's like a spiritual gender or some like or like making you believe like you have a physical gender within your body, or that people can be like the wrong sex, and that the only way to treat this type of discomfort by threat of suicide is to like take hormones and change your body. I think that's the cause, and I think that cause is harmful to trans people. I think that I have a cause that I believe is helpful to trans people. So we both have causes, and I'm not interested in helping their cause, but I'm interested in helping them.
Sure. I don't have any issues with hormones.
The thing that differentiates transphobia, like, so transphobia being that you hate these people, you're afraid of these people, you're disgusted by these people, you think that they're immoral. That is different from disagreeing with what they're doing and what they believe to be the way to help themselves. Like, because help me, because that was me. And I don't agree with what they are saying is the best thing to do. I think that it's based on a religious belief in gender and a religious belief in non-scientific things and a religious interpretation of data where self-reporting is seen as a not a testimony to what people believe, but a statement of fact.
So I think I'm pretty okay with hormones and I'm pretty okay with surgery because it doesn't matter what I think. When it comes to whether or not I think other people should or shouldn't be allowed to do something, I always take a certain dose of humility and understand that, like, it's possible that I'm wrong about certain things about this, and I don't think that I should get to dictate what other people do. I'm really big on not letting my ideas impact the agency of other people.
But you don't have the power to.
Well, let me put it this way. If somebody's going to make a decision, the best example I can give of this is I had a friend when I was like 19 who was regularly getting drug tested for weed. And whenever I had weed, it was his. And whenever he had weed, it was mine. And I was smoking with a couple of our other friends. And he asked me if he could hit it. And I said, look, I can't make this decision for you. It's never been the case that my weed wasn't your weed and vice versa. However, I think it's a bad idea. But I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to like make this decision for you. And he smoked and he went to jail because he's fucking stupid. But I don't think that it would have been right for me to like say, like, nope, sorry, this is mine. I'm not going to let you have any of my weed because if you smoke it, you're going to go to jail. I don't think that even if I strongly disagree with somebody, it's not my job to save people from themselves. I think it's okay for me to save people from other people, but not from themselves.
Okay. I am not sure. I think on a given day I might fall on a different side of what you're saying. That's the feeling I'm getting.
Sure.
Of if I would give the weed or not. But I don't think that that's a perfect analogy, because the way or at least for how I feel, I want to be a participant in the marketplace of ideas. And I'm not in a position to legislate. Like if I was the emperor of the world, and I could snap my fingers and make it so that surgeries and hormones were illegal, I would have so much more responsibility to sure, like, what if I'm wrong? Because I believe what I believe. And I think that it stands to reason, but there has to be more hesitation when you have that responsibility. But I don't think that I have that responsibility when I'm trying to engage in the marketplace of ideas. I think that acting as if I do have that responsibility is just seeks to silence me and to amplify voices of my opposition.
Maybe this would clarify my stance on it a little bit better. My kid never expressed any interest in taking hormones, but a little while after they told me that they were trans, I said, if this is something you're interested in, my only condition is that you have to see a therapist, and you have to go for no less than minimum of 6 months. And I will be heavily involved with the therapist and talking to them and making sure that you fully understand this, and that the therapist knows that you fully understand it, and the ramifications of it. There is, if the therapist agrees, and I think that everything's on the up and up, then I won't have an issue. But this is a requirement for me, because this is a situation where I do have to impose my will on the agency of a person, which is kind of the only time I really find myself in this situation where what I think matters more than what the other person thinks is when it's my kid. So I think that most of the time, when people advocate for people taking hormones, it's just like, if you want it, then you should have it. I think that you need to have somebody. I think that therapy is a really good idea, because I think that you need somebody there to make sure that you really understand this. Because
I think that if you have dysphoria, you don't understand it, like, definitionally. So I don't think that trans people should be getting the thing, like the hormones and the surgeries.
It wouldn't change your mind if there was a requirement to have therapy first?
It would make me more comfortable, but
and even if I
wanted
it, I would make myself go to therapy too.
There's a dilemma here. There's a especially for youth, there's a massive dilemma. So what I want to say is that you should have to go to therapy for like 2 years minimum.
Sure.
Okay. And even maybe 3 years, 2 to 3. But there's this dilemma for trans people, because there's this also, like, I think that is right.
Clock's ticking.
Like, if you have to resolve these issues, it's going to take more than 6 months. That's just insane. That's way too little of amount of time.
Well, I said minimum.
If you're capable of resolving these issues, I think that it's probably possible for a lot of people if they go at it for longer than 6 months, like a couple years. But that's not even a guarantee or anything. I think they would have to change their life, and if they're a kid, they don't have the ability to really change their life too. So maybe it's a moot point. But if you transition earlier, you're going to pass better.
Yeah.
So got to push it through. And then once you're older, once you're like, you hold it off, or you don't start thinking about it until you're 24. Now it's like, well, I better start now. And now they're not going to force me to go to therapy because I have informed consent. So I'm not fucking waiting a moment, because I want to change my body, and I know that it's gonna look better if I do it sooner. So there's just this pressure to just ignore any type of mental part. If you want to transition, going to therapy is your enemy, because it's going to make you look worse when you come out the other end, because it's going to make it take longer. So baked into the problem here is a pressure to avoid therapy as a part of the solution.
I guess in that respect, I just say too bad, because I still remember quite well being a kid, and I have a kid. I understand the idea, or how a new idea can just blind you to everything that might not be good about it, even as an adult. But I also think that, like you said, in the 24-year-old scenario, I think, what the fuck is the point of being an adult if I can't do what I want to do, if it just involves myself? Like, is life just always going to be me having like a bunch of like series of rules that I have to follow, even if I'm not hurting anybody? Fuck this. Like, this is my reward for going to school and listening to my parents. Like, this is my life now.
Okay, but at the very least, like, it should not be, if you want to do what you want to do, it should not be like publicly fundedly available. Like, you should have to be paying for it. Like, if you really wanna, if you just wanna take hormones, then like you should pay for it. And I don't even like that attitude, because that attitude creates a haves and haves not situation between different social classes. But I just don't think that we deserve to be able to take these things. I don't like, it's like if you want to get a tattoo, do you deserve to get that so that society should provide you with a tattoo? No. Like, that's how I feel. So
I don't think I believe in deserves. I express this a lot in my personal life. I don't believe in somebody deserving or not deserving something. I think
I do.
Most of the time these things just are happenstance, what's available, what consequences happened, like things that have occurred.
You don't think that. You think people deserve basic rights. You think people right? I'm forgive me if I'm being brazen. Of course, you believe people deserve food and shelter.
So when it comes to rights, I think that you either have unlimited rights or you have no rights at all. Because the idea that you have a right implies that somebody's giving it to you. It's being granted to you. And if it's being granted to you, that means it can be taken away. And right's not a right if somebody can take it away from you. So if rights truly exist, then you have the right to do whatever you want. And if somebody doesn't like that, they have the right to react in whatever way they want.
I don't agree with that.
How would that work? What right do I have to anything if you can choose that? Like, who's granting the rights to me?
Because Elder Drazi. Because we live in a society. Okay. I think like you were bought into for the better of everybody. Giving up and getting certain rights. And when my idea of deserving comes through, it's like, what is the bare minimum that everybody should be granted within a given society that we should be able to give everybody? I think if people don't have food and shelter, we're failing as a society. We're failing those people as a society. That's what I think.
Sure. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think that I would word it more like this. I think that we have a duty to look out for each other. Mm-hmm. But I don't have the right to be looked out for.
I think you do.
Yeah, I just think I think of things in terms of duties, not in terms of rights. Because by duty, I'm compelled to do the correct thing. But if I have the right to something, I just I can't get past the idea that rights are granted, and like it feels like a self-defeating ideology, because a right has to be granted, which means somebody is there to be able to take it away. But definitionally, a right is something that can't be taken away from you,
or like a privilege.
Yeah, we might have privileges.
Right. Okay. So I think people should be.
Somebody holds the key.
We should be privileged to food and shelter. And I don't think we should be privileged to changing your like hormones and but like if you are already taking hormones, I don't think anybody should take it away from you. Like, now you are in my world. If I was the king and I was going to do whatever the fuck I wanted, and I was going to not even, I was just going to do without being responsible, then in no world would I just take away people's hormones. Like once you're on some kind of drug or something and that's your life, like that, I'm not gonna like to take it away. Taking away somebody's hormones is just as bad as giving them hormones in the first place in my mind. It's a total destabilization of their life. It depends how long. Maybe if they've been on it for 3 months, take it away. But like, but if they've been on it for like 4 years, like that is your life now. I don't want to have blood on my hands or fucking your life up again. So, like you're gonna be miserable if there's no good that's gonna come out of that now. That's how I feel. I also something in the back of my mind. This is something really weird. This is if I transitioned, I would wish that I mean I guess I already said this, but I really will have wished that I did it. If I have transitioned, I will have wanted it to be when I was like 11 years old, like more than anything, and I just think that we all have wants. This is something I believe. Tell me if you want to interrupt me, because I'm like, but we all have wants. And I mean that in more than a stupid way. I am very permissive of my desires and my dark desires. I don't want to repress them. So I will watch like revenge porn, like I really enjoy. Like some people like hate watching violence and stuff. I like when you watch somebody on a video of somebody like taunting somebody and then they get their ass whooped. Oh man, part of me is like, oh, I just a sick part of me enjoys that. And I'm like, and the part of me that enjoys that wishes that I could get that revenge on that person. Cause you know, and I don't feel guilty for having that feeling. I don't want to feel guilty for that, but also I don't want to do it. And I want people to stop me. I don't want me to be allowed to enact my revenge like that. I want people to stop me, you know? So, I just like that, I would want people to stop me from taking the hormones.
So this is the, I think that even if I felt that way for myself personally, I would also know that I would never want to open the door to other people making my decisions for me. There is nothing that I value more in life, nothing, than my own bodily autonomy. I think that all of my moral ideas and my moral principles extend from the idea that I have the right to my own bodily autonomy. I think that things can get murky when it's outside of that, but I think that nobody has the right to force me to physically do anything that I don't want to do.
Okay, that's a fair.
And if they do, I have the right to defend my autonomy up to death.
Sure. We disagree. But I agree with your want to defend your autonomy. Like I've already said, like I feel exactly the same. But I want someone to stop me. If I ever wanted to kill myself, I really want people to stop me. Like please stop me. And I want to stop other people. I do not I don't think people should. In my world, people cannot kill themselves. If you want to kill yourself, you're fucking out of luck, buddy. Okay? I don't even care how miserable you are. I'm not going to give up on you and let you kill yourself. And I think that's going to cause damage to everyone in all of society and just not allowed to do it. I'm not in my world.
Well, that actually lines up with mine too, because I would say at this point, you're the one who's threatening your autonomy. If you die, your autonomy's done. It's over.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. No, when I say nobody has the right to make me do something that I don't want to do, if I try to kill myself, I am preventing myself from ever doing anything I want to do again, and therefore it is completely permissible for somebody to stop me. This is the one weird paradoxical point where I side with physically stopping me.
No, it's not one point because you stepped on a slippery slope, buddy. Okay, because if you think that people should stop you from removing your own autonomy, okay, well, death is the biggest removal of autonomy. But I could certainly construct an argument for why taking hormones is going to remove your autonomy, or why getting a tattoo, I wouldn't like the argument therefore, but why getting a tattoo would remove your autonomy. I would
have a different autonomy in those situations, but I would still have autonomy. When you die, you have none.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. So I don't like this argument, but here's the argument against you, okay? It's tough. So you're in Japan, and people hate tattoos in Japan.
Sure.
A lot of places you're not allowed to go swimming if you have tattoos because people see them. They just have a culture where tattoos are associated with crime and stuff. You have to hide them. And you want to get a tattoo, and you will be able to exert your autonomy by getting said tattoo. It will empower your autonomy in that way, but at large, it will remove your autonomy within that society. I think that you should change society. You shouldn't change the people. We should change society to accept people. Just like I think we should change society to accept trans people without them changing themselves. I think that we should change society to accept people with tattoos without them changing themselves. I don't think that... I guess there's an inconsistency there. I don't think tattoos are good, but I don't think it's...
Oh, shit.
I don't think it's that harmful. It's just ink.
I'm sorry, I have to verbally respond to my chat because I can't type in my own YouTube chat for some reason.
Okay. All right.
What I was saying, I don't think of it as an exception to my rule. When I say that you can stop me from killing myself, it just feels like an exception. And my explaining it as an exception explains why I don't think of it. That's all. I was responding to somebody in my chat, but I'm not allowed to type in my YouTube chat.
You're banned?
I guess. I don't think Cat Dog Bark would ban me from my own chat. He's pretty anti-banning, and he's my only mod.
Some fucker in my chat just said Smeth accidentally made a good point.
Oh. It said chat is down. Okay, it's back.
People should accept people who transition. Yes, of course. Of course, I think people should accept people who transition. I absolutely agree. But I don't think we should we should accept suicidal people. That doesn't mean we should let them commit suicide. And if you attempt to commit suicide, I'm not going to abandon you. I don't want to, but I accept you as, you're not any lesser for having tried to kill yourself. You're still part of my family, of my human family. You're part of my, you're part of my United States of America. My chat is up, but there's no guarantee I'm gonna read it.
So one of the things that I find interesting is that you have the verbatim Mr. Grill take of...
Do I?
This isn't how we treat any other mental illness.
Yeah, I got that from him.
Yeah, so my counter to that is that there are a lot of different things that have specific treatments for it. And I don't know why this one being that when it's specifically different in this way, that we put it all on its own in some special category. Like there is no other disease aside from... Okay, so because I thought the methadone argument was pretty good because there's nothing else that we give somebody something that would in every other case be an insane thing to do is to give somebody methadone, where they would be addicted to it and they'd have to get it every day in the way that people who take methadone do. But we don't say that this is a bad treatment. We say that this is a really difficult situation and we're going to do something that would otherwise be unorthodox because it has effective outcomes that we're seeking.
Are you done talking so I can tell you why you're wrong?
Yeah, I think so. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm okay. Yeah, that doesn't work, dude. No, you're talking about the treatments being specific. I'm talking about the interpretation of data. The thing that is different in regards to dysphoria and the data of gender affirming care is that we interpret self-reporting as if it is a testimony of God-given fact, Whereas in any other instance of self-reporting, we treat it as testimony as to how the patient feels, which does not indicate a fact of what they're actually like. I'm happier now that I transitioned. Okay, that proves it. No, we don't do that with anything else. We don't do, like, if we did that with any other mental disorder where you have a incongruent perception of reality from everyone else.
What about pain?
Pain?
Yeah, we rely on self-reporting for pain. And it's actually pretty scary and dangerous for doctors because pain medicine is so dangerous to write that some doctors just completely stop doing it. So if you have severe and chronic pain and you're seeking treatment for it, all they can really rely on is your self-reporting.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what makes it scary for doctors to give people like Vicodin. Because if this person's lying to me, it could be literally be my fucking license on the line here. But people do get prescribed it, and it's based on self-reporting. And there are dangers.
But those doctors are scared because they know that there is a risk with trusting their self-reporting. Whereas with gender dysphoria and gender-affirming care, we do not feel scared or skeptical of their self-reporting. We feel like it's gospel. And anybody that says otherwise is transphobic.
Well, sure. I just thought we were talking about how we go up about treating self-reporting in terms of treatment.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is yes, that's what I'm talking about too. So the doctors in the case of prescribing pain meds treat your self-reporting with skepticism, and they don't want to give you I've been in the ER where people are like yelling and the doctors are like, this person's lying, and they don't give them the pain meds. But they don't. If you have that attitude with self-reporting in regards to gender dysphoria, transitioning, gender-affirming care, then you are a bigot and you are transphobic. So the skepticism is healthy in regards to pain meds, and that's this type of skepticism that we should have for all self-reporting.
So if it was the case that doctors were in a similar position with hormone replacement therapy or willing to do surgery, how much more comfortable with it would you be?
What do you mean?
So if the doctor's approach and feelings about gender-affirming care were identical to how they approach somebody reporting pain, how much more comfortable would you be with them prescribing or just pursuing gender-affirming care with their patients?
This is annoying because it's multifaceted. So there are two things.
It's unintentional. Feel free to break it down.
Okay, I know, but it's gonna be. I'm gonna fuck it up because I'm gonna get distracted. I'm already distracted.
Sorry.
Okay.
Unintentional.
That's not you. It's my brain. The doctor prescribing pain meds is we all agree on pain. It's something we all agree with, and we understand the high pain can cause you to go into shock
in your life.
It can make you go into enough pain you can pass out. It's an empirical thing, and the impact it's going to have on you. It is very empirical, and there is no therapy to get rid of pain. There is only maybe there's hypnosis temporarily, but that's not really part of this conversation. There is either you're gonna not take pain meds and you're gonna live with it. You learn you get muscle pain or joint pain. You learn some stretches to help over time that might help. But the question we're asking is, do we give them pain meds, which are dangerous and highly addictive, or do we not? And you have to deal with the whimsy and the judgment of some fucking asshole doctor who doesn't know what you're feeling. You have to deal with it, and that sucks. It does suck that you have to deal with that, and you got to advocate for yourself, just like trans people feel like they have to advocate for themselves. And I completely empathize with that desire to advocate for yourself. But in the case of gender affirming care and the prescription of hormones or surgeries, that is not the only, gender affirming care is not the pain meds, where pain meds are the only possible solution. Actually, I changed my, I realized it's actually incredibly, it parallels incredibly. So if a doctor prescribes you, so say you have long-term persistent pain that's going to last for your whole life. If a doctor that prescribes you pain meds, instead of trying to, like, there are therapies that might make your pain go away. Like Mr. Girl standing up every 20 minutes, and he's been fixing his back, not talking so that he can fix his fucking voice. Whatever else falls apart, whatever he has to do. Instead, if his doctors just threw morphine or like whatever the fuck, Percocet, or I don't know, whatever the fuck, like opiate pain med, addictive pain med, whatever they throw at him, they would be, I would be against that. They shouldn't just throw pain meds at people's problems. So I also think that the doctors should not be throwing gender affirming care, treatment, surgeries, hormones at people's problems without doing their due diligence to actually like make their lives better. And in fact, I think that the likelihood of the gender affirming care making their lives worse is pretty high, and it's way higher than with pain meds. The risk of first of all, the risk of being addicted is 100% with hormones, and the risk of detransition, like once you take the hormones, you're addicted. You need to, like, that's like part of your life. If you're gonna get off, you're gonna have to like wean off or something. And the risk of like detransitioning, or that you're not being happy. And I don't even trust the self-reporting. So I think that there's a lot of risks involved in doing that. And I don't see many positives aside from like covering up something temporarily. Yeah, I just think it's even worse of a choice to give someone gender affirming care than it is to give them pain meds.
Well, they're not going to overdose and die. They get addicted to hormones.
That's true. I mean, it probably could, but
I mean, we have like a real epidemic of the pain meds thing, and I know I took pain meds for several years. I have chronic back pain. It's really bad. I have two different issues with my back. One of them is my discs are breaking down, and I have scoliosis. And I got off them on my own. I actually would take breaks to make sure I wasn't physically dependent on them. I would take less than I was supposed to be taking. And I was very super hyper aware because I knew how dangerous that it was. And there's people in my family that have addiction problems with them. So I think that for me, the way to I would recommend a similar approach when there's high concerns. Like if you have, I guess if I was in your shoes, if I had similar feelings to you, I think that my response would be that we need to that it's okay. But it's really important to be very aware of what's happening and be very honest. And I understand that the problem is that not everybody is going to be honest. Some people just want what they want. And just like most people who take pain medicine didn't have the kind of vigor to be responsible with it like I was.
Not only that, but every single... So when you go into the ER and you ask for pain meds because you're in pain, the doctor has to be like, does this person really want that, or did they just want the drugs? Like, do they actually have the pain, or do they just want the drugs? Maybe they do have the pain, but they also just want the drugs, so it's convenient. Okay.
Sure. And I have had,
but in the case of someone wanting gender affirming care, every person that wants gender affirming care is the person that goes into the doctor's office with the predetermined desire, like, I need those drugs, I need those pain meds. They're already the addict. They are already the person, like, with like the unreasonable like expectation and demand for said drug and said treatment.
Sure. So I think the experiences that I've had, so I've had bad teeth, and most recently and most prominently when I had to have, in between my first surgery and second surgery from my vasectomy, my pain was so bad that even though they were giving me high-end narcotics, when it wore off, I felt so awkward and ashamed to ask, like, hey, look, it's not working. Like, it wore off. Can I have more, please? Because it was like the most intolerable pain I've ever felt in my life. And I felt almost crazy for that too, because like I know that they know that I'm not lying about being in pain, but there was still so much because there's so much stigma around people asking in the hospital for pain meds that it was super embarrassing and awkward for me to ask. And they were just like, yeah. And they even told me before, because I told them it's really weird for me to ask. Like, look, we can see this. We know that you're not lying to us. We know you're not here for pain meds. Like, we get it. I'm just like, yeah, I know. It's just fucking terrible, though. Like, I just feel like a really scummy shit, like just like the worst person when I'm telling them that I need more.
That's why
I wish it wasn't like that.
That's why I believe that you should always be not repressing your feelings and always be advocating for yourself. But I also, like I said, like if I'm not going to repress the fact that I want revenge. I'm not going to repress the fact that I'm in pain. So I think that's bad. But it's the doctor's job or society's job, it's the people around you's job to be able to stop you. So, you should feel comfortable saying I'm in pain, and it's the doctor's job to be able to fucking figure. It's not your job to try to make the doctor feel better by not telling him you're in pain. It's his job to hear you say that you're in pain and judge you and be able to know if you're in pain or not. You know?
Yeah, I think I was just terrified of just being seen as like a junkie, despite the fact that like everybody knows in the situation I was in that clearly. I have every reason in the world to be asking for pain meds. Right.
I think that trans people are completely in the right to advocate for their gender affirming care. It's what they want. It's what they think is right. And I think that it is the doctor's job to say no.
You just want societal boundaries.
Yeah.
To say no.
Yeah, I think that we need to protect people from ourselves and protect other people from ourselves. Like in the case of revenge. Or like violence or murder or rape or whatever the fuck.
Is there any scenarios in which you're okay with gender affirming care? Outside of them already being started?
If it's not hormones or if it's not like bodily intervention, I'm against cosmetic surgery. I'm against. I think that the solution to being dysphoric or hating your body is to you want to get to a place where you love your body. So that there is no time that I'm okay with it.
Interesting.
But I think so. You want to be in a place where you love your body and are comfortable with yourself. Now, there's multiple ways that can happen. I believe that what you actually want is to love your body and love yourself without changing your body. And I think that if you are given the ability to love your body and love yourself after changing your body, you're actually taking away someone's ability to actually love themselves, because now you only love yourselves for how you've changed yourself and for the routines that you go through daily to look a certain way and for all the work that you put in to look different than you do without putting the work in. The goal should be for you to be comfortable with yourself without doing anything. Like you should feel good about yourself. You should feel comfortable in your skin without doing it. Like
you should, but that's not the reality for most people. And all those things all the work that you just described could also be said for somebody who is regularly working out. They're managing their diet super well because they want to have the kind of body they want to have. As far as like the emotional toll and the amount of like physical work we're talking about, there's absolutely people who do the same thing with dieting and exercising. They take supplements. They're pumping their body full of a bunch of shit. And this can even turn into like a really crazy thing where people start taking steroids to get bigger too. This can lead to an unhealthy thing as well. But I think that you probably wouldn't have an issue with somebody aggressively dieting and exercising.
Actually,
despite all this work.
No. I'm fine with diet and exercise, but I think that if you hate yourself and you want to be something else, you want to be someone else, and that is the reason that you diet and exercise. Sure, diet and exercise is always good. Not anorexia. I mean, like healthy diet and exercise is always good. But if you think that it's going to make you suddenly learn to love yourself, you're wrong.
I think it helps.
I think it makes it harder.
Oh, bro. When I met my wife, I was like 22 chin-ups per set in shape. I was pretty fond of myself, especially in terms of my body. I really loved my body then.
Yeah, but so okay, so
not so much anymore.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So you put yourself in this position where you have to maintain and constantly work out and constantly diet in order to feel comfortable about yourself. So, and that's always going to go away because you're going to get old and die. You're going to become feeble. You're going to get fat. You're going to get ugly and wrinkly. You're going to become like disabled. You're going to lose your functionality, your ability to think. And so if you need to be a sexy 22-year-old at your peak fitness in order to love yourself, you are not actually able to love yourself, because in the dark moments, in your ugly shit covered moments, that's when true self-love happens.
And I'm not saying that I don't love myself, but I certainly love my body, and loving my body sure helped that journey.
What I'm saying is that if you are taking hormones, you are still not able to love the shit-covered, ugly version of yourself, and you're just hiding from it. And like so everything that is an issue for you has not gone away. And
sure.
I think that transitioning on all gender-affirming care intervention surgeries objectively make your life worse.
Do you think the only reason that the psychiatric community is having people pursue gender-affirming care the way it exists today is because of social pressure? And if that didn't exist, they'd be like, fuck no, absolutely not.
I believe that it started off when gay rights was a big movement. And I remember when they were in the Supreme Court and they were trying it, and one of the justices was like, "Who's paying you?" And they're like, "No, we actually all really care. We're all these activists are just passionate, and they actually really cared about making marriage equality, gay marriage legal." And then that happened, and then all those activists then moved on to trans rights, and it's not the same. And now that's why it is where it is.
I gotta think this through. You're saying so you're saying that because of how gay rights went,
no, I'm saying the activists, like the literal activists, and the social role of the activism, but also the literal people that were the activists after gay marriage became legal, moved on to the next. Like that's why LGBT. That's why the T was put on to the end of that, because they're lumping it onto the same movement. And all those activists are now working on trans rights, except it's not equal. It's not the same. It's not. There's no fucking reason it should make sense to add being trans and your gender identity to your sexual orientation. It's not the same.
Well, I don't think that it is the same, but I think that there's some value to be gained by getting the support of a successful movement.
Yeah, I've always clearly there is, because they've been successful at advocating for it.
Yeah, well, I've always said that I hate that all the marginalized groups advocate for themselves instead of grouping together and advocating for each other. So I think that the LGBTQ plus community has done the thing that I've always wanted to see. Well, at least they've come as close to the thing that I wanted to see as possible. And whereas they're not just advocating for themselves, they're advocating for each other as well. And I think that that's the way that people that don't have a voice need to go about it, because if you make up 5%, 1%, 10% of an unheard voice, if you couple that with other people that are also not being heard, you have a chance to actually get loud. So I guess I see this as a good thing.
What, just advocating for anything blindly?
No, it's amplifying each other's voices.
Sure, amplifying each other's voices helps things happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the voices of the trans movement were amplified by the activists and the movement of the gay rights, and that's where they came from, and that's why it got to where it is.
But why is that bad?
Because it's not the same, and we're treating it like it's the same, but it's not. I think that gender affirming care is throwing under the bus like the people that are affected by societal problems that make people hate themselves. Instagram, I'm sure, has made people more trans. Like, that certainly made me trans. Made me have dysphoria. It made me wanted to be a woman because I wanted to be a glamorous, beautiful person. We have, like, all social media gives us such a glamorous idea of a perfect individual that we wish that we were. And for some people, that's the opposite sex. And then, like, so we have a societal problem where people are hating themselves. They want to be something else, and our solution is to just say, actually, you're all born that way, and then we don't get evidence for that. Well, it doesn't matter. You're not born that way, but you also, like, you're that way, so you should change yourself. You should be changing yourself rather than us dealing with the problems that are leading to people doing this. You should all just change yourself to be like the person in the commercial that you wish that you were.
Now, I don't think that I would never say so you should change yourself, but I would say that nobody should be able to stop you.
Well, that's where we disagree.
Yeah. I want to say something else, but also, he's been in there for a while. Do you mind if Will comes in here?
Sure. But wait, just to add on, I don't think you should stop people if you have, like, the money to do it for yourself. Like, your family members should tell you not to, but yeah. No.
So I think that's probably the best argument that, like, I could potentially be on board with, is that other people shouldn't have to pay for it. I'm not entirely sure.
I don't feel that. I think
that's the most reasonable, though. But I
don't feel that way because it's not that I don't want to be paying for it. Like, that's not how I feel about taxes and shit. Like, it's not. I don't feel like, oh, you asshole, you've taken my tax money and done this. No, the reason I don't want it to be paid for is because I don't want it to be provided for you and made easy for you to hurt yourself.
No, I agree. That one of the things that makes me the most upset about the government that we have is that my money goes to paying to kill people that I've never met. It drives me fucking insane. I don't support the idea that, like, I'm being forced to pay for murder via war. I hate it. Like, you're taking money out of my paycheck, so, like, I am somehow responsible for the death of people that I have no say in it. It drives me insane that when I go to work, I'm helping to pay to kill somebody. So I can understand that. I can understand being against, like, your taxes paying for things that you strongly disagree with. I'm very, very sympathetic to that.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Very confusing answer.
No, I'm okay with that. I just don't want. I don't care about it being my money. I just don't want people to have easy access to hurting themselves. Like, if in Canada they have like socialized healthcare or whatever, like universal healthcare, and, like, they've made this new thing like where you can have assisted suicide. And
yeah, I think that's kind of crazy. Well,
like, and the reason I'm against that isn't because it's my money, because as if I'm a Canadian. If I was a Canadian, it's not because it's my money going to that. No, it's because I don't want you to have access to suicide.
I'm okay with certain assisted suicides, but I know that, like, they just give you the option to die if you're, like, a burden and shit, which is fucking nuts to me.
Yeah.
As big a fan of Canada as I am, that one's really, really bad.
Yeah.
Like, can't pay your bills? Well, suicide's free. We'll even help. That's kind of fucking insane to me.
If you can pay this one bill, and it's the only bill you're gonna ever have to fucking pay.
Or just put it on your credit card. You won't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to me. I know it's not like you just go there and ask, but the ways in which they make it available, I think
they make you go through 6 months of therapy where they make sure that you really, really do want to kill yourself, and then when your 6 months are done, then they let you do it. You know, that's so fucking. Jesus Christ, dude.
Like, I'm pretty on board with like Dr. Kevorkian style assisted suicides.
I'm on board with what is the name of the guy? I don't know who that is, but you know the guy from House of Cards. What is that guy?
Kevin Spacey?
Yeah. In the first episode, I didn't watch all of House of Cards, but the first episode, like a puppy gets hit by a car, and it's like suffering, and it's like about to die, and he goes up to it, and everybody, like, there's like people like crying and screaming, and he's like, sometimes you gotta, I don't know what he says, but he breaks its neck to end its suffering. And like, if someone, like, if you're about to die and you're in massive pain and suffering, then I guess in that case, like, it's different, but that's the only time.
It's funny because I actually am pretty divided internally about euthanasia of animals, because they can't tell you. Because, like, I can imagine a world where some people are really suffering. Like, yeah, everything sucks. Don't fucking kill me, though. And you can't get that from an animal.
Sure. I'm thinking like war, like you see somebody get like the half of their body blown off, and they're like like that. I would shoot them in the head to end it.
I wouldn't.
That would.
What if there were a prosthesis that they could get, Smith?
Prosthesis? No, I know. I'm saying like literally like their belly button and down is like gone, and they're bleeding out, and they're.
Oh no, penis. Okay, well, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, like your spine is severed completely, and like there's no way you're going to survive at all. You're gonna live for a maximum of 10 minutes, and if you're allowed to live for those 10 minutes, it's going to be the worst experience, like to like magnitudes that you've ever experienced in your entire life.
If they could ask me to do it, then I could do it.
Yeah, if they asked, like if not, just give them too much like morphine. Come on, Jesus.
Well, you're gonna have that on the battlefield. Yeah.
Actually, did you know that all of the nerve agents, like the stuff that they give you to combat nerve agents, has like a super strong dose of Valium in it?
Valium?
Yeah. It has like 200 milligrams of Valium in it.
What does Valium do again?
It calms you.
Yeah, it's a super calming. It'll sedate you.
I don't think it's actually a benzo, but it's like a benzo.
It's the original benzo.
Is it really?
Alprazolam. It's the original benzo. The reason it's in there,
Jeff Benzo's got his hands in everything.
Well, the reason it's in there is because nerve agents will cause seizures, and benzos are really good for treating seizures.
Huh, cool.
So, Smith, should I not have gotten bottom surgery?
I don't know. You said that you were in like massive pain and you were born like intersex.
Well, yeah. I was getting bladder infections every month.
Yeah. And so you've had a medical condition that was solved by doing this, right?
Well, yeah. Like now I actually have something usable.
Yeah, I think that's different.
Okay, because the big trans monopoly likes to drag us into everything. I don't want to have a giant fucking O on a flag.
A what?
Oh, that fucking progressive pride flag. It looks like the flag of Ohio with all the random stupid shit on it.
I was telling someone else that happens to be intersex.
So ugly.
I was telling someone else that happens to be intersex. The purple circle. Mm-hmm. It makes me think it's like it looks psychic. I don't know why. Like, it makes me think of I think there was like a video game I played, like an indie game but it just looks like psychic to me. I don't know. I know that sounds stupid, but
it looks like it looks like something from Earthbound.
Yeah, exactly. And why the fuck is like race part of it now?
Don't you know black's a sexuality now?
I mean, if you browse 4chan,
I don't know
that's
if I can
certainly the
condone any of
case.
this stuff, but
What?
You know, there are a lot of people that seem to genuinely believe that black is a sexuality now.
Yeah, like that was the weirdest thing ever, seeing that, like, they just like we're in such like a weird timeline where like flags get patch updates. Like every single month they seem to like add something new to the fucking rainbow flag. Rainbow flag was fine. It was nice. Then they added like a brown bar and then a black bar. And then they just added like the flag of Ohio on there. It's so
weird. I have a polyamory flag behind all my monitors.
there.
It's the only flag I've ever put up.
As somebody who has a passing interest in vexology, there are too many flags for these things.
They somebody told me something hilarious, that they fucked with the they fucked with the pride flag to spite gay men because gay men have a sense of color. And there is a lot of resentment in the LGBTQ plus QIA LMNOP community for gay men.
Excuse me, I think you mean the LGTV WTF PBQ ++2.
Yeah.
That fucking Wi-Fi password of an anagrams also getting ridiculous.
Yeah, well, the thing is, so this is something I heard Zizek say, which I thought was cool. At that point, it was just LGBTQIA+, and he said, the only important character in there is the plus. All the rest suck. They should just get rid of all of them and just put plus, because plus means everybody. Right? By introducing every new character, you're separating people more. Because the plus represents everything. Like every new person you differentiate from the plus is now separate. And these people they all are not like aligned. Like there's like tension between all these different groups. But
here's the thing.
Plus is like the little skinny bar on the pie graph, and it says other, and then it explains below.
Well, like
but what he said, Zizek said that everybody should be. We're all other. We're all the other. It's us.
I think the message is once you get enough people, you get a letter. But until then, you're in the plus.
That's not it, because now they have.
I don't like it though, because like
it seems like
see you two are like old enough to like remember this stuff. But like when I was a kid, oh god, I remember I was just watching a video and it said like 9/11.
Never forget.
It said that 9/11 ruined Sons of Liberty, like the best Metal Gear game. But like so like it seemed like there was like this time like you could have like a Zack Snyder flashback. Like there was a time before when everything was like perfect, and like the gays and the transes and the lesbians and everybody like seemed like they were like, okay, if we work together as one big group, we could get marriage passed, we could get like recognition from stuff. And then like it seemed like somewhere after that it like fractured off into like normal people who just like want to live their lives, and then like people who like push this idea of like almost like gender accelerationism. It's like the whole idea of like you just push it to its like absolute absurdity to the point that it breaks.
Yeah, I actually was a gender accelerationist at the time too. I openly said that I don't believe in gender, but I believed that like, so I was like, I was of the opinion that trans people are very pro-gender. But I was like, but they're breaking gender norms, so it doesn't matter. They're deconstructing gender, it'll be good in the end. And I think I was wrong.
Well, now they just want to break gender by like coincidentally reinforcing like every single gender stereotype in the world. Then again, like I did it when it was the previous W path and it required 2 years of just like treatment alone, seeing a psych before you could even go on hormones. But that's only for minors.
I'm at my time limit. I gotta eat dinner. And,
all right. Okay. Will, I gave just voice perms because you said that he could, but I didn't realize he didn't have voice perms. Give him 2 minutes of your time, or leave.
I can give Will 2 minutes. I was gonna say I'm gonna tag Will in for cede the rest of my time to Will, but I'll stick around for a couple minutes for you, buddy.
Okay, say Will and his mystery box are here.
Will and his fucking badass blunt.
What's up?
Hey, so we're all like late 20s here, right? I'm turning 29 next week.
Yeah, I'm still in my 20s.
I remember a time, back in middle school, right, where the worst thing that you could say to somebody was the F slur. Like basically, like when people were just like, when they really wanted to make you feel like shit, they'd call you the F slur. At least between men. And I think that, obviously this was what, like 2005, 2008, between then. And that was really a period of time, I think, where we saw, a huge shift for gay people in general. It's just gay acceptance. I mean, The Office, one of the most watched TV shows at the time, right? Like they have that episode where Michael calls Oscar, the F slur. And then it turns out, right, that, he's like, but I would never call a gay person the F slur. And then we have, it just goes on from there.
You're forgetting the episode from season 1 where it's like there's a gay man in the office and they do a gay witch hunt.
Oh,
I would be remiss if I didn't say, I think
that's true.
Getting called a pussy was still stung a little bit more, but point stands.
Going to a school with a lot of Spanish people, they hated being called Dominican more than gay.
I say all this just to say that even within my time, like in high school, from middle school, like that was just completely evaporated. Like the whole calling people the F slur thing in a span of like 2 or 3 or 4 years, just completely gone. Like it got to the point where you call somebody an F slur and they're like, I have sex with dudes? Like who gives a shit? Like it's what do you got? Like what else you got? So why did people call people the F slur to begin with? It was because society, there was something against gay people. They were othered, and we thought that they were weird. But then in my opinion, and then the reality is that we slowly became less ignorant of the facts around gay people, and now we accept them. They're 5% of the population. They're fucking everywhere. And it's very normal.
In more than ways than one, they're fucking everywhere.
That's right.
Yeah, Fenway Park's big for it.
Okay, so now with trans people. All right. The thing that you guys were talking about earlier, I think what Smeth was saying, I think just completely holds true. Like it is just completely different than gay people. Like the reason why people were made fun of for being gay is different than the reason why people want to transition. But I still feel like, because we have this societal thing, right, where men have to be men and women have to be women, or at least that's how it was for a while. We have these pretty standard gender stereotypes. But as society transgresses and women get more educated than men and all of these other things, the gender boundaries are breaking down. And it doesn't really matter if you're a man anymore. Really, it doesn't really matter if you're a woman, at least in the United States. But yet we still are seeing like more trans people than ever. The trans numbers are going up. I want to know why this is, because it seems to me that if we live in a society that's more equitable across all of the genders, there would be less reason for anyone to want to be the other gender. If you were born a woman in the 50s, holy fuck, that sucks. Please make me a man immediately. If you're born a woman in 2023, the fuck's the difference? You have higher education standards than men. There's got a lot of benefits, and then vice versa for being a man. We still make more money than women statistically. We're still stronger, etc. So what's the big fucking deal?
We're not objectified all the time. That's probably a big one.
There you go. Sure, but I mean, but even then, dude. I mean, it's like men have to make more money. That's an objectification right there.
Yeah,
like, most men cannot go out with women that make.
That's
less
true.
than
That's true. But I just think as a teenager, being a teenage girl is probably like a really freaky thing. Like once suddenly you start growing, you start going through puberty as a girl, and then your uncle's acting different. You know what I mean? It's like, get me out of here.
I don't know, but for men, I mean, it's like your voice starts getting deeper and you start breaking out more and you start being smelly. And
I'm just saying how other people treat you. How other people treat you.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, women are definitely like objectified more, for sure.
Yeah,
like, there's more of that. But
Anyway,
I just think that the real end goal for all of this is that it needs to be like what we did with gay people. No one gives a fuck if you're gay or straight anymore. No one gives a shit. You're gay? Okay. You're straight? Okay. Who gives a fuck? You're a boy? Like, who cares? You're a girl? Who gives a shit? Like, I don't give, you dress up like a man even though you have a vagina? Who fucking cares? You wear a dress and you have a dick? Who gives a shit? Like, the thing that's fucking killing me is just that there's something here where we're taking the extra step here where we're like we need to medically treat these people. And I think the only people that need to be medically treated are people with gender dysphoria, because at that point it might be kind of like the people on pain medication, the 65-year-olds like my grandma that literally just suffer from pain that literally could not be healed. At that point you let them have a Percocet addiction, because that's just literally the only way that you can get rid of their pain. If you suffer from such crazy gender dysphoria that the only way to do it is to mutilate yourself and get on medication, then okay, that might literally be the only way to heal you. But like, you are trans then. If you do not have gender dysphoria, I do not believe that you are trans. I believe that you just want to present as
you want to transition,
more feminine, or you just want to present as more masculine or more feminine, and you want to save the step of having to be like, I'm a man with a dick that wears a dress. Like, you don't want to have to explain that. You just say, nah, I'm a woman.
Yeah, because nobody gets it. Nobody will get it. There is no room for it.
Well,
correct.
I think that's too strong of a stance. All I know for sure is that there's two very different things occurring, and we don't know enough about the distinguishment between these two things because we act like it's the same thing. That's all I know.
But I think we know a pretty decent amount about the distinctions. I mean, we were living with the distinctions for 30,000 plus years, right? Like, so there's something there, But
well,
now we live in a society where you don't have
trans people without gender dysphoria.
Oh,
however you want to categorize trans people without gender dysphoria and trans people with it, these are two different things, but we group them into one thing. So I don't know enough about both, because that's not the conversation that we have.
I still think it was a major crime against science to pull that preprint about social contagion theory.
Exactly. Because that's
I think it's a conversation worth having.
If anyone's ever been to high school, bro, social contagions are a fucking thing. Like, I don't
on social media at all. I'm saying, like, the more I look back, the impact that Instagram had, because I didn't start Instagram until college, and then the impact that had on my self-image and me wanting to be a woman is really big.
Yeah, Smeth's target A for social contagion was completely normal. Then all of a sudden has a closet full of dresses.
Leotards.
Get out of here.
I've seen one video of you with a dress.
All right. Bye.
Yeah. I feel like I don't have too much to say other than just to that. Like, I don't want people, like, women. The thing that, like, I knew this woman and while I was going to college, right? And she was trans, and she, like, wanted to be called, like, a different name, and she wanted to go through all the surgeries and do all that stuff. And it's like, I feel bad that they feel like that's what they have to do, rather than just, like, they can't just throw on a shirt and some jeans and, like, just say that I'm masculine, and then everybody just fucking deal with it,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Why do we do this? Why do we accept that? Why is that okay? Like, or why do we think it is, I guess? We obviously don't
because we don't have that space for those people, and we have less space now because, like, there's no more like, everybody, like, a lot of the fucking incels, like, them admit, and it's true, there's no more tomboys, and there's also no more fucking there's no more, like, alt guys that, like, wear makeup and shit. Like, there are some. Dude. There are some, but, like, it's way less.
Do you want the real hot take?
What?
Sure.
This is something that I've been cooking up in my like, little feeble young brain. But it's this whole notion of, like, the TikTokification of, like, emotional existence. The fact that, like, every single person in the universe seems to think that, like, feeling sad is now something unique and specially onto them, to the point of which they need to talk about it on Twitter for hours and hours. That it's like some new unique thing to which they have just discovered.
It's a
Like the
product
feeling
too.
of like
Well,
limerence.
yeah. Like
It's a
I grew up
product.
as a fairly like a fairly like feminine man. You know, like in middle school, I was short and I was skinny and I didn't
And
look
you probably
very
played Magic the Gathering.
no, that didn't happen until my 20s. But you know, like but
But
then there
like,
came a time in like high school where like I realized like, you know what? Fuck it. Dude, androgyny is just my style and it's kind of cool. Like all my favorite rock stars were androgynous and like
Hmm.
fuck it. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm wearing a long shirt right now. Like this, you know what I mean? Like I love long flowing shirts. They're just
it
way more fucking comfy. You
it
know?
just seems like, as somebody that was like really late to the Twitter game, but used to be like on Instagram 24/7, that like every single person in the universe has this like notion that like you need 165 characters to sum up every single thing about yourself, and that's it. So then out went the notion of like, okay, you can be like a really masculine woman. You could be like a woman that just has like a tank top on and jeans, and like that's it. And you go out and you like cars, or you go out and you like something that's like completely atypical for like what
Yeah.
we normally assign to
Oh,
that. And
more
then
than that, I think you can be a woman that is really like. I think a lot of women are transitioning because they feel like they're not allowed to be sexual beings. Like the women that are really horny for men. They so many trans men are like, they want to be gay men because and I think it's just traumatic, or seems impossible for them to be a woman and get that kind of like sexual relationship with a man, but they want to like be an active, like, I want to fuck a man, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't think we have room for that. Like women can't really talk about feeling horny for like men. Like boys, but like they don't really talk about like I want to suck a fucking cock. You know what I mean?
there used to be like that whole notion during like, if you like read like the history of like punk and stuff, like Riot Girl, and it used to be like an aesthetic where women would do that. And now it's like, oh, you can't do
Yeah.
that. You've got to be,
And with-
you just got to be a guy. You
with
used to be
men
able to
too.
have like emo kids who were like super super hot, and then
like think about
now it's
Twisted
like you got to
Sister.
be like a. Well, like look at like emo kids. Like it, nothing like breaks my brain more than being like, why couldn't I have like grown up at like a time when like I could have like met Davey Havoc when he was like super cute, but like now I have to settle for like old Davey Havoc. But like you look at like all of these people, and they're like so diverse, like within like the way that they dress, within the styles, within even the way that like pop culture put it. And now like all of those things would be like, oh well, Davey Havoc's an egg, or like emo kids are all eggs, and like oh that girl over there who's like super super horny and like wears flannel, that's gonna be a man in like 3 years. Like it's just this
It's a bummer.
TikTokification of everything. It compresses everything
Like-
down into like complete stereotypes. It's so
See,
weird.
and the thing
Yeah.
and the thing that fucks me up too is like I really want to have kids. Like I'm definitely planning on having kids in the next 5 to 7 years, maybe. And like I always say this, and it maybe comes off as transphobic, but like my kids are not going to be trans. Period. Like I know that they're not unless they suffer from gender dysphoria, right? That little caveat, the 0.000, 001%. But like they're not going to be trans because hey, Billy Jr. or Sally, you can just do what you want to do, yo. Like, but you can't mutilate yourself. Like, I'm against plastic surgery, I'm like, you can't do that to yourself. You can do anything short of doing that.
Are you gonna
It's
teach
just
them
because
how to do guy liner?
Fuck
yeah.
Roxanne
That is
can
so-
do it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Roxanne
such a
can
good.
do it. Fuck
It's
it.
so
I don't know.
base.
Like, why? Fuck it.
Why
But,
do you
like,
guys stop that?
Sally,
Yeah,
you're not
like,
getting Sally,
your
you're
kid
not getting
says-
your tits cut off, and
you're-
you're not
you-
getting your penis. Like, there's no mutilation allowed,
your
and it's just because
your
that's not
son-
an option.
Your son says that they want to be a woman. You have talked with them about their feelings. The next day, the first thing you do is you do eyeliner with them.
Seems to me personally a lot less destructive than taking drugs or getting a surgery.
Yeah.
Like if you just want to be more feminine, go for it, buddy. You want to. Okay, I used to know this guy. All right, and this was in elementary school. So this was hella 2000, right? There's this guy, and he for every Halloween dressed up as a female character. He was the person from Wizard of Oz one year. He was Lucy one year. He was he was Madonna one year, right? So he dressed up as females for Halloween, okay? And he talked to all the girls. And the one time that I hung out with him and all the girls, and we were at his house, like his room was pink, and he had all these toys and shit. You know, he had like a bunch of like dolls and shit. And I didn't give a shit even back then, you know. Hey, whatever. Like this dude is just more like a chick, you know. And then I looked him up the other day because I was just curious, you know, like what were they doing with their life, you know? And he's just a dude, you know, does drag occasionally, very successful, you know. Like I think he's gay. I didn't know for sure, but yeah, it worked out. You know, like I know that this reality is possible because I've fucking seen it. You know,
well, there's another aspect.
We need to push for that.
There's another aspect of the self-loathing and the escape from wanting to be someone else that's anybody but you. And I think that's a thing that's way more of a thing now than it ever was because of the TikTokification. Okay, spicy. Good opinion. Ice cream. It's like,
I want to know, Will, what's your opinion on femboys? Because Smeth can detest this. I'm like I'm like the expert on like femboys.
I used to work with this guy, and he was kind of a femboy, but he was totally straight. Like, but this dude was mega feminine.
Yeah, there's a lot of femboys that are straight.
Was it Darius?
He used to no, but he used to come up to us. I mean, and tell us about all the chicks that he's banging. Because like he was less threatening.
Yes, you know? that was me. Oh, I was having such a slutty time when I was a femboy.
He was getting way more pussy than me back then.
Well, here's the thing that I've noticed among like my menagerie of like femboys that I collected, because like I have an account where it's like my like nudes, whatever account, and like it's literally every single femboy on Twitter just seems to follow me. I have no idea why. And I talk to like a lot of them, but there seems to be like this huge divide that's really, really, really apparent now just by like looking at their feeds, but like especially when you talk to them or like try to get them into like a group chat, where it's like every femboy that's like 26 to like 29 is always like, yeah, no, like I'm just like a guy. Like most of them are gay dudes, but like there's a huge majority of them that are straight that are just like, yeah, I mean, like my girlfriend loves this, like she loves doing my nails and all this stuff. And they're just like, no, like I'm just gonna like once I hit like 30, 33, I'm just gonna be like a gay guy. I might do like drag or whatever. And then there's like the younger ones who are like 18 to like 24ish, who are like, no, like I need to get on like hormones. I need to be like a juiced femboy, or else I'm not gonna be able to compete. And it's like, well, you're just like taking part in an attention economy. You're like ruining your body for like likes. Why? Like you don't have dysphoria. You're doing like nothing. Why are you doing this? You're gonna regret this in like 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't...
totally. Like the dude that I knew didn't take drugs or anything. Hey, I'm gonna get out of here because my laundry's about to go.
Yeah.
Will in this channel prescription, trans people, I support you. I just think that gender dysphoria should be like the reason why you do it. You know. If it's because you feel like you just want to present more masculine or feminine, like really look inside yourself, you know? Because there really is a society. Most of us out here really do just like, we don't care, you know? So if you feel this way, it's a bit
and if we do
irrational,
care, if we do care, then fuck us. Yeah.
Yeah, then fuck them. Exactly.
I will say this. I always have a saying, Smeth is the most transphobic person I know, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, Smeth cares.
But then that means I don't know. Fuck it, Jesus Christ.
No, like honestly, like a lot of your prescriptions would be just down like crucifiable by like 99% of the community, but I'm not that 99% of the community.
Yeah, but I don't agree with their definition of transphobia because I think that they're just anybody that my prescriptions and my interpretation of reality is different, but that doesn't that doesn't mean I'm phobic or anything. It means I fucking disagree. And I think that the fact that they call that transphobia is telling of what is going. It's like a religion or a cult or fucking. It's not a healthy thought or it's not a healthy movement. It's like if you disagree with us, you are ostracized. We're gonna call you a bigot. No, like
Well, here's the thing. Like, when a vast majority of people, because remember, language is meant to convey like a broad series of ideas that are easily communicatable in which we could all understand. And you operate in Smeth world, which means that you need like a Smeth filter. Because a lot of the stuff that you say, there's like one person on Earth that can understand you, and his name's Max. And everybody else just hears like something else. So like when you're talking about the world, you're talking about the world as you see it versus the world as the way that the Vox Populi see it. So like according to like the majority of the people who create the definitions and everything, and like, hey, I just work here, the vast majority of the world would consider you to be that. And I would just say
no, not the vast. Hold on, not the vast. The minority. Actually, you're wrong. Dead wrong. The vast majority of the world would say I'm not transphobic. The very small minority of the world, which is Twitter trans activists and shit like that, they'll say that I'm transphobic. But the vast majority of the world would probably say that they would probably hate me. The vast majority of the world would hate me because they would think I'm literally trans, or they would think something along those lines. So that's dead fucking wrong. I'm not tapping into some secret hidden lexicon or some secret hidden perspective that only is like, no, I'm actually even closer to trans people's way of thinking than the majority of the planet.
Here's the thing. When I'm saying like the Vox Populi, I mean transgenders activists. Like the people who set the words and try to cancel you.
Yeah, but
versus
those are
like people like me who are just like normal transsexuals.
Yeah, but those people, I'm saying...
Well, those people are all fundamentally retarded and wrong, but they still are the ones who will get you like fired from a job.
They are fundamentalists of a cult.
Well, yeah, I was in Drazi's DMs and I said transgenderism is fundamentally an idea spawned from cultural Marxism. That is the notion that you can just... I see that eye roll. You think I'm gonna like sneak in some neo-Nazi shit?
No, yeah, well, maybe. I mean, I also am tempted by that line of dialogue with the cultural Marxism ties because it's interesting how the philosophies line up. I don't think it spawns from cultural Marxism. I think that it like is incubated alongside of culture. Like, I think like, you know, all the trans people, like 2016 online, were like, I'm a communist, and I just think it happened that way. I don't think it's
2016 online trans people were like me on like, and we were on 4chan, and most of the time we were just like shit posting. Now everybody has to have an activism and a gender.
I saw it start as 2016, but whatever, 2019, whatever. When Destiny was on Twitch, all trans people online were communists.
Yeah, it got really bad. It got really bad around like it started like 2017, got really bad around 2018. Now like you find people who are like, my name's they them. I'm a non-presenting, non-binary. I'm like a non-gender presenting, non-binary person, and I'm also a communist accelerationist who wants to destroy every single facet of society. It's like, no, I just want to live my life. Forget that. Those people are insane.
Yeah.
But they also just so happen to cohabitate that idea that, like, definitionalism is like how you operate in society versus the notion of you just operate in society by following a social hierarchy.
I'm pro destroying the social hierarchies, but I don't think that they're destroying them. I think trans people, by their not even necessarily by their actions, but by their prescriptions and by the philosophy that they are going by, their cult religion. You know, not, and when I say trans people, I mean like people who are part of this ideology. Not like, okay. I think that they are opting into the hierarchy to an extreme extent. Well, like they are saying that I want to be a member of this social class, which is women, or this social class, which is men, and I am trying to play into the hierarchy. I'm trying to change myself to fit within it, rather than deconstructing the hierarchy. So I think that actually I'm more cultural Marxist than they are. They're like cultural fascists. They failed. They failed at being cultural Marxist. As a cultural Marxist myself, I'm gonna give them an F.
Have you ever read the works of John Zerzan?
John Zerka?
John Zerzan.
No.
Okay. I would recommend reading Against Society or Why Hope: The Stand Against Civilization. The Stand Against Civilization has like a really bleak outview, which is like he's completely for the destruction of like everything's completely down to like symbolic thinking. Like he wants to abolish like art and like language and time as like concepts.
Yeah, I'm not for that kind of thing.
But like in his book Why Hope, he like literally states that like his ideas are like so absurdly out there because no matter what, like even if you destroy society, then there's just going to be some element that's going to recreate society.
I think that's stupid. I'm not that kind of cultural Marxist. I just think that the hierarchy of gender. I'm a gender critical, gender abolitionist. I know those are different, but I want to abolish gender as. I don't want to abolish gender by playing into it. It makes no fucking sense. Like the gender abolitionists strictly, like the actual philosophy of gender abolitionism is like a lot of it is just being pro-gender. So yeah, I'm gender critical, I guess is the term.
Well, yeah. Well, originally the idea of gender abolitionism was basically just what we had called gender critical now, but everybody wants to be gender abolitionist, so we have to change that meaning to now mean
something
we have
fucking
a society
stupid.
We have to have a society where there's 1,000 genders as opposed to one that's like based entirely.
Yeah,
on
that's rather than destroying hierarchies or making more. It's like let's get rid of what do they have in India? Like they have
they want to create a gender caste.
Yes, they want to they want to create even more castes, and we all have to fight for our unique identity until everybody is a unique caste. Like we're gonna have to have a chip implanted into our brain so that we can be simultaneously conscientious of every single individual as if they are a social class. At the same time, and respect all of their individual, and that when we get that chip, we're going to realize that we're a lot more similar than we are different, which is the lesson that we're learning from these quote-unquote gender abolitionists, that we are all so fucking different. Well, you know what? You're fucking wrong. We're a lot more similar than you think. All right, that's all I have to say. Someone in my chat says, frankly, I think Seth is transphobic. He goes about it in a weird, feelsy way, but he's indeed transphobic.
The weird thing is that people will say that, like people who are like super into like people will say that, but the problem that they're facing is that like you know a lot more trans people than the average person.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
like absurdly so.
I don't agree. And I hate this because like there are so many trans activists that will say that if you use the term trans ideology, now you are a transphobe. If you use those words, trans ideology. What ideology? What are you talking about?
I had this talk with Lauren Southern. There is a gender ideology.
Yeah,
absolutely
trans
is.
ideology. There's gender ideology and trans ideology. Is like trans ideology. So gender ideology is like the Old Testament to the trans ideology, which is the New Testament, which includes the Old Testament.
What was it? You could even apply like gender ideology to some of the beliefs of second wave feminism, like some of the like more far out there. Like the Scum Manifesto is definitely gender-based ideology. The thing is that transgender will definitely become like a huge. It's become the new church for which progressives worship.
Yeah.
And you
I
have
think
to kowtow to it.
I think I have a lot to say about the philosophy in itself, in a grandiose philosophical sense. Like I think it's incredibly individualistic, isolating. I think that it is a very capitalistic, ironically.
Ironically, I would disagree. I would totally disagree with you. I think that that gender ideology is more conformal because because it's either you conform to these exact beliefs of like what a trans person is, and that is that somebody who doesn't have gender dysphoria, somebody who doesn't make any effort to transition, somebody who doesn't do XYZ, and then you, if you don't believe any of those, you're not conforming to the ideology, so therefore you're just discarded.
Some aspects of the individualism and the isolating because it absolutely is isolating, and it absolutely does remove community. But also there's double speak where you also have to conform to the removal of the community. So like there is a community of destroying community. There's a community of destroying there's a community of everybody trying to advocate for themselves separately. And in as many ways as you can segment it from everyone else, we're gonna differentiate. Oh, I just realized that I have a unique freckle pattern that makes people treat me different, and I also identify with people that have a certain nose shape. I don't know what the fuck. We're gonna invent shit like that 100 years from now when we have nothing. I don't know. I'm just being cynical and stupid, and I'm ready to stop streaming.
No, it's. Oh, you're ready to stop?
Yeah.
Oh, well, have a good night, Smith.
I started a sign off a little while ago, and then you kept going, but I would like to shut the door on the Smeth den for the night. I'm sure that I will be popping up again soon. In fact, I pop up all the time, but you never know about it. But hasta la vista, Smeth heads. Good night. And Sleepy, thank you for waking up.
I've always been awake.
Well,